going to give them to Dave, and he'll have them available on the church's computer. Okay, we're just going to be here for a couple demonstrations, and we're going inside. Yep. Where we can have more, it will be cooler, and also it can have the whiteboard. Enjoy while it lasts. You good to go with the camera? Awesome, we're on. Okay. One of the real important things we need to be able to do is make fire. And so in order to have fire, what do we have to have? 3 things. Fuel, what else? What? Fire, okay, what else? Oxygen, somebody mentioned it. Okay, we have to have fuel, oxygen. And I'm going to talk about that third one some more. Somebody once said an ignition source. We'll go with that one for the first part of here. Plenty of oxygen, right? Y'all are breathing well? Yeah, plenty of oxygen. Here's a chunk of fuel. Here's an ignition source. What? What's wrong? I've got a friend who will admit trying to start a fire that way, except the log he was trying to start was this big. Whatever means of starting. I'm just using matches because it's kind of about the, each match is about the same amount. That's why I'm using matches. And I'm not using up the other methods that I like better. Okay, so here's a piece of wood. I carved it off the same spot I was trying to light earlier. Wind took care of things for me. There we go. And I'm going to let go quick. Okay, so that burns. This doesn't. Why? What's the difference? Oh, lots of surface area here. Size. What about size? Start small. Pardon? Okay, yeah, you're getting where I'm wanting to go. Take you all back to physical science class. Combustion temperature. Okay, the third thing. Oxygen, fuel, heat. But this heat has to be able to bring whatever you're trying to burn up to combustion temperature. Now, everything has its combustion temperature. You bring it up to combustion temperature, it's going to start burning. I don't care what it is, even rocks. You bring them up to combustion temperature, just rocks have a very high combustion temperature. Okay? We're not trying to burn rocks. Good thing. We're not going to worry about them anymore. And so in the match, that's why I use matches, because this is a measured amount of heat that we're all familiar with, more or less. The amount of heat in this match is plenty to burn me, okay, but it's not enough to bring this size fuel up to combustion temperature, and therefore this doesn't burn. But the little chip that I took, that's much smaller. It can bring that piece of wood up to combustion temperature, and it starts burning. So let's do a couple experiments here. And I'm going to abbreviate this for the sake of time. So this is obviously too big, right? Let's pick something about this size. How about this? Still won't work. Still too big. Let's half that. Still too big. How about this? Still too big. Okay. Can't find the one I want. Yeah, I'll use this one. How about this? Closer. Okay, let's come at this from another angle. Here I have a bunch of chips. Okay, that same match that lit one chip can light one of these. And then that heat from that flame and light other chips. Yeah, it's still going. I thought the wind blew it out there for a minute. Okay. Oh, now I got lots of fire. Now I can still this on. No. How about this one? No. How about this one? No. How about this one? Getting closer, right? Needed something smaller. Okay, on the ground. Okay, so here is this one. Let's put on a few more like that. I may have, no, it's going still. Wind isn't being helpful. Blew that out. Yeah. Having trouble with the wind. And I'm hurrying too quick too. Okay, so the collective heat from all those chips will get these smaller sticks going. Now I've got lots of fire. I can put this on, right? Hope you kids are paying attention here. How about this one? How about this one? How about this one? Probably. Maybe something a little smaller. Okay, so you get the picture? If I want to burn this, what do I have to do? I have to work my way up with larger and larger stuff. Start small. Unfortunately, what I've seen a lot of people do, they try to start something this big. Oh, well, you got to have tinder, so they'll get some pine needles. Put a bunch of pine needles there. Oh, now I got lots of fire. Stick this stuff on it. Or even stuff this size. Doesn't work. Starting to go out. Quick, run, go get some more pine needles. I don't care how often you go and get pine needles. It's never going to catch. Okay, got to work yourself up. For some reason, people always miss it. And I don't understand why, but they always miss it in like this stage category. They get the little stuff, but then going up to something bigger and then, twice this size and on up. Somewhere in there, they miss it. And they try to go to big stuff right away. Okay? Be patient. Be willing to work your way up. Now, what we're going to do next, you good to go back? Okay, we're going to show some primitive fire starting methods. With these methods, we're starting out with very small amount of heat, less than a match. And that same principle, that means you have to start with smaller stuff than even the shavings. Where do you want me to put the the fire pan?
On the ground.
Just like over here?
Yeah, right there is fine.
That's hot. I think mostly because it's sitting in the sun.
Okay, I guess I need your headset.
Here you go.
I don't know how to put this thing on. This way. All right, can you hear me?
Yeah,
No.
no, that's just for the cameras.
Oh,
So
okay.
just talk to 'em as
So I
if
just
that
talked too
wasn't-
loud. Okay, so, okay, I'm going to demonstrate to you how to use fire sticks to make fire. And we're going to start with, you can make a simple bow just like that, sort of branch from a tree, the piece of paracord. My favorite bow, however, is this one that my niece made me. It's out of Osage. It's a flex bow, so it's a little easier to do if you don't have a lot of muscle power. Okay, you also need a fireboard. This is a fireboard. This is one that has been used some already. And you need a spot in your fireboard that has a place for your spindle. This is a spindle to go down in here. This spindle is actually made from mule fat. It's a plant that grows just about like this, except for they get very long. This has been used a lot. One of my favorite ones. It's almost getting too short. But so you need a spindle. The fireboard is made out of cedar. You want a soft wood, not something with pitch in it necessarily. And you want something to catch a coal. You can use a leaf or whatever. I always take a little piece of wood with me just because I do this all kinds of places and I don't want to mess up your floor if we're doing it indoors. So we're going to just set that there like that. And you need a handhold. I need the other stuff here. Can you bring this stuff over? I need that handhold. Well, closer. Okay, so This is also a handhold. See that? It's made out of a piece of wood. The problem with this kind of a handhold, which is probably the one you're going to use if you're just building it quick out in the woods, is that this drill will also drill through this. See how deep it's getting? Which takes more energy because you're drilling on both ends. Okay? My favorite handhold is this one. It happens to be an elk knee. Our kids lived in Colorado for quite a while, and while they were there was a lot of hunters there. There probably are here. Oh, sorry. There probably are here too. And so they would have them bring them bones and hides, and they would cure the hides, tan the hides, and make things out of the bones. Well, the bones work really good for handholds because they're naturally lubricated. It doesn't drill through it. It spins really nice and easy. So we're going to use my elk knee this morning. Now, I'm going to show you how to do that, but before I do, maybe I should do it after. You can always also do a fire drill that has more than one person doing it. And we also have here a 2 or 3 man fire drill. Could even be 4. In which case, while you spin it, you have 2 people holding it and pulling it. See that? And so you would, come here. So you would hold it like this. Someone would hold it. Here, sit on your chair. Somebody would hold it between their feet like that. This is actually a digging stick with a hole in it, and then they would pull it this way, one on each side. Okay? So that's another way to do fire drills, which don't take as much energy or muscle from person. So if you have a group of people, or you want to do a group activity with your Pathfinder group, this is a great thing to do, because they have to learn to work together to get fire. So this is a 2 or 3 or even 4 person fire drill. But you still need the same components. You still need a fireboard. You still need a spindle. You still need a handhold. This is the handhold on this one. Okay, it's also a digging stick, which I don't think we're even going to get to talk about. So that's what you need for that. Okay, I'm going to need a helper. Did you help me yesterday? Yeah, let's get somebody else. Somebody else want to be my helper? Okay. Now my tinder bundle is all I have left that I brought with me, so it's kind of falling apart, so you're going to have to be really careful with it. Grab a little bit out of my flint and steel kit for him to wrap that into, please. I started to do that, and then I got sidetracked. Okay, so you can just stand, or just right over here if you want for right now, but not in front of the camera maybe, or maybe over here. That'd be good. Okay, so yeah, so we're going to take this. It's a little longer pieces. It doesn't just fall apart so easy. Just dump that in there. And just make a little divot in there. Okay, and just hold that gently till I get you a coal, okay? Okay, so it's just dry tinder. It's basically shredded up pine needles with some leaves and some other stuff in it. We call it roadkill because we live near Yosemite National Park where a lot of cars go in and out. So we'll just go and pick it up alongside the road where the cars have been running over it by the end of the season, and it's great roadkill. I mean, great tinder. And so we'll pick it up, several bags of it, because we use it for our demonstrations. It's easy. Some places we go, you know, like churches like here, I don't see a lot of tinder around here. Would have to go out and get it, or we go places where it's been raining and raining and raining, and everything's wet. So it's good to have some dry tinder to make your first fire. And if you like have a fire kit in your pack, you'll want to have at least enough tinder in there for a couple fires in case you get somewhere where you have to dry out tinder before you can use it. So you'll have at least a first fire or so. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can make fire for you. You want to put your knee, your arm so it's around your knee, your elbow, to kind of give you some support. Right now we're just trying to get some dust down on the notch, if you can see it. If you can't, you might want to get it a little bit closer. We don't really want fire yet. We want to fill up our notch with dust. Can you see the dust going in the notch? And unfortunately, the wind is blowing some of it away. So I probably should turn around a little bit so we don't lose all of our dust. So I'm going to turn this way. So if you want to see, you may have to come in the other side. So what we're going to do here, we're going to try to fill our notch up with dust, and then we're going to put on some speed and pressure and get a coal in that dust, light it on fire. Pardon? Yep. You want to use the full length of your bow so that you're you can see the smoke coming out of that pile there. That means I have a coal. So at this point, you don't really have to hurry. You want your coal to kind of build in that dust. And so you just kind of take your time. A lot of people get kind of panicky at this post. I don't know if I got my coal still. Yep. If you get up close, you can actually see it glowing. So we're going to put this coal right down in here. And then I want you to just wrap it a little bit like this. Just hold it gently like that. Right here. Not on top. Okay, and blow it to flame. Above your face. Put it above your face. You don't want it to go into flame and burst into flame in front of you in your face. So you want to always hold it above your face. Don't squeeze it too tight. Blow. You see the wind? Yeah, it turns so the wind's not blowing the smoke in your face. So you want to use nature and turn so the wind does not blow the smoke in your face. Blow a little bit harder. Long, hard ones, not a burst at once, just long, hard. There he goes. Give him a hand. Thank you. Now, if he was actually going to build a fire here, what would he have to have ready? He would have to have his kindling and his small stuff ready to go, because that's not going to burn very long, and then it's going to be gone. So that's how it's done. Now, we make it look a little bit easy. They usually teach you to do this on the ground, and I used to do that, but in my older age, I'm having a little trouble getting on the ground to do that anymore. So if I'm out in the woods, I just use a down log or something to put my leg on, or we bring our little chopping block there. So I challenge some of you to make a fire drill kit. I apologize that we don't have time in this program for you to make them. Some programs, they allow that extra time so we can make fire drills. But we didn't even plan on that because we knew there wasn't the time here. But you need to make a fireboard, which that looks pretty easy, doesn't it? You don't want it wobbling around. And you need to get a spindle. My little spindle here is getting almost too short. This is made out of mule fat. Does it grow here? Okay. But you can use elderberry. Is this my elderberry? Let's see. You may have to learn how to identify some wood. Okay, and here is flea bang. It grows just like this also. Does it grow here? I think flea bang probably grows around this area. So you'd want to watch for it in the fall and harvest it when the sticks are dry. Some stuff gets too soft, and then when you try to spindle with a bow drill, it'll break. There's also the hand spindle way to do it, where you start at the top and you do this and work. I cannot make a fire that way. It takes a lot of muscle and some calloused hands. And you just work down the spindle, move down. So you're pushing downward pressure as you're spinning it. My son-in-law and daughter and niece and nephew, they all do that stuff. They're younger than we are, huh, honey? Jim used to do it. He hasn't done it in a long time. But, so that's another way to make fire spindle. So that one you don't even need a bow. All you need is a fireboard. Some way to hold your fireboard down, and then you just spin it. Okay, all the way down. So that notch isn't the right size for this spindle. So, but anyway, so that's another way you can do a spindle. When we learned how to do this, we didn't have video or a person to teach us how to do it. So we learned it from a book, and so it took us quite a while. Nowadays, there's lots of information on there on how to make fire drills. Fires with spindles, with just a hand drill. This is just a hand drill, or a bow drill, or even the 2 or 3 man drill. There's lots of information online about that. We have Google University now, or YouTube University. So please learn how to make fire other than from a lighter, or even the flint and steel kit like we showed you yesterday. That's a sustainable method of making fire, but sometimes you may need to do this if you run out of charred material in that one until you get some more made. Okay? Yes? I don't know. I've heard stuff like that. It'd probably have to be something that was insulated because it's going to get hot.
There's also, you can just wrap it in many layers of plant material. Okay, let's move inside where we got some more shade, a little cooler.
I don't have any kits left. but I'll sell you a book. Okay. I've got plenty of books. So. I'll show you. I need to give this back to. Give that to my husband. Thank you.
You want to be there or here? What's easier for you?
I can do either way.
You can do it either way. Got a little room to spread out here. Okay, where do you want me?
Anywhere?
Okay, she said it works best on this back table here, so I'm gonna go there. Yeah. Would you? Whoa, he took off. Somebody run over there and tell them we're going to do it down here rather than up there. We're going to talk about survival kit equipment. Yeah, in the last little bit of time we have. Somebody could be helpful and bring the whiteboard up here too, with the blank side pieces removed. I'm going to be at the far corner of it. Okay, clock says we have less than half an hour. I'm willing to stay longer if you all are. But if somebody has to go, I totally understand. Is this on? Yes. Oh, this has the PA working here. Okay, sorry about all that banging around. Okay. We all good to go? Everybody got a good seat? Okay, I will be passing stuff around a little bit, I think. So kind of plan what route that's going to go. I'll probably hand it to you to start with, or maybe to you, Christopher. Sabbath afternoon. I mentioned the idea that I know of 3 groups of Adventists who have gone on a Sabbath afternoon hike and ended up spending the night. I'm not going to go into all of that, but that's where I want to start. What I'm going to say with. Want to remind you of one of those groups. There was a 9-year-old boy who had his emergency kit, and in his emergency kit he had some matches. And because that 9-year-old boy had matches in his emergency kit that he had taken on the hike, that group was able to have fire that night. And I just want you to contrast spending the night in the cold, dark woods without a fire with spending the night in the cold, dark woods with a fire. It's a huge difference, right? Again, I want to challenge you to be that 9-year-old boy. So we talked about 3 things that you want to take on a hike with you all the time. What were they? One of them is what? A knife. What else? Something to start fire with. And water bottle. Okay, now I'm going to say straight up here, I would want more than just those 3 things. In fact, I regularly carry more than just those 3 things. And hopefully after this morning, you're going to want to carry more than just those 3 things. But that's where we're going to start. So since knife's the first one, let's talk about knives just a little bit. If you remember from the other talk, when we're talking about knives here, I'm actually talking about sharp edge cutting tools. Because you need both a knife, okay, for meal preparation. Remember we use this to process some wild edible plants out there. Also for fine carving. You need like a small utility type knife. This one was made for me by my niece's ex-husband, and it's still one of my favorite knives. But in addition to the knife, you need something you can chop with. Now this might be something like a short machete. This started out life longer. I cut it down. I'm into metalworking, so anyway, you can't. The only place I know that you could go buy one of these is down in South America someplace. Get somebody who's into metalworking to cut it down for you. 10 inches seems about the right length, because you're using this not for brush slashing, you're using this for chopping, more precise chopping, craft work kind of chopping, but also cutting, stuff in two. Could be a machete like this. This is one of my favorite ones. Give you a couple more examples here, especially since you can't just go and buy one of those somewhere. Here we go.
This is something you can go and buy. I got this quite a while ago, so I made my own sheath for it, and I did the leather wrap on the handle. But this is called a cold steel Bushman. Okay, you can go online and get these. They're not very expensive. I think probably less than, I don't know, $25, $30 at the most.
You can order them through Cold Steel, or you can order them through Smoky Mountain Knife Works, which is cheaper.
Well, there's several places that have them cheaper than ordering from the company. But this is called the Cold Steel's the company, and this is their Bushman. Okay? I would want to sharpen it a little different from the way it comes from the factory, but anyway, so that's another example. Oh, Smoky Mountain Knife Works. They're a big knife company. If you ever get back to Eastern Tennessee, pay them a visit. This is another option, a small axe. Some people call this a pocket axe. Got this from Smoky Mountain Knife Works too, by the way. When we were doing our tour last summer, we swung through there. This started out life a little different looking than it looks now. The way it was, the head was kind of heavy. I just didn't like the way it was balanced, and so I found myself not using it. And finally I thought, well, you're into metalworking, Jim, fix that. And so I fixed it, and now I really like it. It's light enough. The whole thing, including the sheath, only weighs like 12 ounces. I'm willing to carry that, okay? Like a larger axe, I'm not willing to carry if it weighs, a pound or two. But 12 ounces, that's about the same thing that these things weigh. What was the weight before? I think it was a little over a pound. Oh, the shape. I cut away here a bit, here just a little bit, took off a layer on both sides, and then reprofiled the angle of the cut, and then took these notches out. So if anybody's into metalwork and wants to look at that more particularly, come talk to me afterwards. So something to chop with. Okay, here's 3 examples. There might be some lightweight tomahawks out there, that could fit that same category. Although the tomahawks that I've played with aren't balanced good, and I end up not liking them. Yes?
She was saying there's a Beyond the Grid, cabin and home, Beyond the Grid outfitters in this area that do make knives and stuff.
Talk to them.
So if you live around here, we're close to
Talk to them.
this might be a good place to get a knife.
The other thing that fits this category is a saw. Okay? If you're cutting, say, a shelter pole, saw is going to be much easier to do that than even this. Chop, 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 right? The saw, just, and you're done. I've cut poles with a knife like this. You're sitting here for a long time. Saw works so much easier. I'm almost always packing a saw anymore. Yes. This is called the Balco Laplander. I believe they come from Finland. Bahco. Laplander. The reason I like this one is the profile. You can get saws that are essentially equivalent to this at a hardware store, a pruning saw. And I have one of those here. Yep. Here's a pruning saw from the hardware store. Okay, I really like the way this saw works. I'm not excited about these wing nuts. They snag on stuff in my pack. I worry about them breaking and so on. But as far as like cutting ability, this is fine. Cost is about the same. You have to order these online though. Yes? Pardon? Oh, this is saw. the Balco Laplander. BAHCO. That's the company. A lot of the primitive skills and bushcraft people like this one, probably for the same reasons I like it. This slips in the pocket or in the pack real easy. Most of the pruning saws have something sticking out somewhere. And so, anyway, that's why that one, I like that one. Actually, I think this one actually cuts just a little bit better. Okay, so knife, we're talking about, both this kind of a knife and something that you can chop with. Lorraine, you asked me a question yesterday. Said you wanted to know, for a beginner, okay, what knife should you get? And this is what I'm going to recommend right here. This is the Mora, one of the Mora knives. This is the basic, it's basic, I think 546. You can get these for, I would say, $15 range. Yeah. The reason I'm recommending this one, I'm going to tell you a little bit of story here. We used to do, in fact, we do, that's one of the things I'm going to do next month. Down at Camp Wawona, I'm doing a 4-day wilderness survival class. We used to give people a list of equipment to bring, and too many people showed up with a piece of junk when it came to the knife. They thought because they'd spent a lot of money it was a good knife. There's a bunch of high-priced junk out there in the market. And so we talked with them and counseled with them, and several groups got the same message. You guys just go ahead and get what we need and charge us for it. And so we started doing that, and this is a knife that we used, or one of its, same company, similar knife. The M-O-R-A, Mora. Online. What? Yeah, Amazon or eBay. This is the I believe it's the 546 basic. Now this one's a little bigger. I mean, it fits my hand fine, but if you have a smaller hand, it might be a handful for you. Okay? Mora has several other ones. They're all more expensive. This is the cheapest one. This has a stainless steel blade. You can get it with a carbon steel blade. So if you're into knives enough to know the difference between stainless steel and carbon steel, and you want to get carbon steel, that's fine. I'm aiming you beginners at a stainless steel blade. It's much easier to take care of, easier to sharpen, and so on. So anyway, this is the one I recommend. The reason we chose this knife for our programs is because it's an inexpensive, basic, no-nonsense, good knife. And so learn what a good knife is from one of these that don't cost you an arm and a leg. And then if you want to spend more money on something fancier, fine. But at least you know what you want to buy and what you need to get, rather than spending a whole bunch of money on a piece of junk and thinking that it's good simply because it costs a lot. Okay? Or it looks cool or something. So, these they're just, again, just a basic, simple, no-nonsense, good knife. And they're inexpensive. Learn what to expect from a knife. Learn how a good knife operates, what it does, and from something simple like this. Then if you want to spend more money, fine. Okay. Yes, these come with this sheath, and this clicks into it. It goes click, and so it's not coming out. Yeah. Do you want me to pass these around, or should I just leave them on the table and come look at them afterward? I think leave them on the table. Yeah, okay. Fine. So, talk about knife. Now, if you want to do a pocket knife, okay, there's a couple Swiss Army knives that have a saw on them. Yeah, I don't like the ones that have everything in it just because it's so bulky in my pocket. But I mean, that's my personal preference. Yeah. Yeah. I like the camper model. That's the one. Well, in fact, I have it here. Yeah. Okay, yeah, this one is the camper model, a little thinner than yours, but that's, just like I said, my personal preference. I used to carry this one for years, because it has the saw. The thing that convinced me I needed a saw is I was at I think it was some kind of Pathfinder leadership program. And it was in the wintertime, and we'd gone on a hike, and one of the ladies on the hike slipped and fell on the ice, like up out of camp about a quarter mile. And, she was out of it so bad we decided to carry her out. And so we just improvised a stretcher with a bunch of jackets and stuff. And partway back, the handhold slipped, and she ended up falling. And I was like, that would have been so much better if I'd had a saw to be able to cut a couple poles and make some kind of a more substantial stretcher. And so I just determined I needed to be carrying a saw. And this was the first solution I came up with. And again, I used this for years. Pardon? Sure. Yeah, this will be on the table here too. Yeah. It's very good saw. For the size of this saw, I'm amazed what I could do with this. And I still like it for certain things. Okay. So anyway, yeah, I'll put this out on the table. So if you're just going to pack a pocket knife, get one of the Swiss Army knives with a saw. This is Swiss Army knife. Oh. There's a bunch of imitation Swiss Army knives out there that are pretty much junk. When it comes to a folding knife, grab the handle and the blade. Okay, notice the blade's facing out away from me, so I'm not grabbing this. No, I'm not going to do that, like this. I'm grabbing the back of the blade, and try to wiggle it this way. Okay? This one wiggles slightly. This has been used for years, and it still just wiggles slightly. You'll get some that wiggle a whole bunch brand new. This didn't wiggle at all brand new. Okay, the part that's going to wear out on this is the hinge. And if the head hinge is sloppy to start with, don't waste your money. I don't care what. It's not worth it. It's going to fall apart on you sooner or later. Pardon? Victorinox is the original Swiss Army knife. They have a daughter company called Wenger, and those knives are also good. They're a little smaller. I'm using the Victorinox just because it's a little larger, Victorinox. The Swiss word for stainless is inoxidable or something like that. Yeah. Well, some of the imitations try to put something there to deceive you into thinking they're the original one too, when they're not. But Victorinox is the mother company. You'll get a good knife from them. You'll also get a good knife from Wenger, which is the daughter company. Wenger. But a little smaller. So if you have a smaller hand or you're getting something for a kid, you might want to go with the Wenger. I've had a couple of them. They work good. They're just too small for my hand.
There's a lot of different pocket knives. You don't have to have that particular kind. You can think through what you want. Because they have ones that have locking blades, like the spider toe that I have, has a locking blade, and you might prefer something that has a locked blade instead of something like the Swiss Army knife. Also, you have the buck store right here close by. I'm sure they have some good knives over there. I know I have one of their knives. So there's a lot of different kinds of knives. So don't just say, well, you mentioned Swiss Army, so I have to have that. You need to think what are you going to want. It needs to fit your hand and something that you can use. Spider toe, like a spider toe. Spider toe. Spider toe is kind of pricey, but they make good knives, and the buck store over here makes good knives too.
Okay. The other thing that I have on this, because this is my demonstration for the three things to bring with you. Okay, water bottle, talk about that in just a minute. Talk about the knife, going to fire. Okay, this is a little pouch. I have one just like this on my keychain. Little leather pouch. Keep a lighter in it. Okay, just a little bit lighter. Okay, goes in the little pouch. Yes, I did. And I noticed there's at least one in the bottom of that box still. If you're interested, Becky's shaking her head no. Maybe she got rid of it already. I guess we could hook you up with the pattern. Make your own. It's not hard. So something for fire with. Now we've talked more extensively about fire. We like the flint and steel method. And so I really want to carry that, but at least a lighter. Like I said, I have that on my keychain in my pocket here. I also have a knife in my pocket. But here's that. Let's go to water bottle. Recommend stainless steel single walled, not the double wall insulated ones, because this one I could boil water to purify it to make more water. Take the lid off, take a drink. Now, you can carry the water bottle, in your hand. That works. That's a whole lot better than nothing. But if you got some kind of a little pouch to carry it in with a strap, I got this just before we came on this trip, so I haven't had a chance to rig up a strap. I bought one down at Black Sheep the other day. So I have a strap I need to put on it, but I need to rig it up and measure it and get it set for me. But because I'm carrying the pouch also, they make these. Which if I'm going to be cooking, I'd rather cook in something like this than in my water bottle. And that fits. So it's not taking up any extra space. Right? So this is easy to bring along. Becky has one that's actually a little taller, which I like that one better. But we just ordered that one also, and this is something I already had, so this gets thrown in my demonstration pack, right? So anyway, here's this. That is stainless steel. They also make the same kind of thing out of titanium, which is lighter yet, but it's, more expensive. The manufacturer, if you're going to buy one, get the one from Self-Reliance Outfitters. Okay, they have a nice water bottle that's wide mouth, and their cup is taller. It's like 20, half again as much volume, which is going to come in handy for a little bit extra weight. This one you can get at Walmart for like $5, and I'd rather have the taller one, just because it gives you more options. Yes, that's online. Yeah, Self-Reliance Outfitters is Dave Canterbury's organization store. Self-Reliance Outfitters. No, but they have their own pouch that they sell, which is actually a little bigger than this, which you can stick more goodies in. Yeah, if I was actually cooking in this or trying to boil water to purify it, I would want as much volume as I could. Because I'm going to have to boil this, dump it in there, boil it, dump it in here, right? But the nice thing is I can boil both. Let this cool down, drink this, and then be on my way kind of thing. So it's even though this is less, it's still better than nothing.
Well, the meeting's over, but what happened?
But at the time I got this was the largest one anybody made. Now they're making bigger ones.
Suddenly, the computer and your rack just went dead. Actually, I heard the UPS signal start to run. About a minute before I went to try to check it out, and it just went dead. I couldn't get anything to
Yeah, no, like the latest research, they're all killed off at 180, and so even at altitude, you know, your boiling temperature is still above 180.
Something in the, either one of
Okay,
those.
so before I get into anything else besides what we've talked about so far, again, I'd say I want to take more, and I'm going to show you more. We're 12 o'clock, by the way, if anybody, that's important to anybody. I want to ask two questions. And we're thinking in terms of the Sabbath afternoon hike scenario, okay? First question is, what is the goal of your hike? Okay, enjoying nature. What else? Getting some exercise. What else? Fellowship. Yeah, those are the three main ones as I've thought about this. Okay?
And learn the environment.
Pardon?
And learn your environment.
Learning your environment. Yeah.
Something.
Getting into nature. Okay, I'll categorize that with that. Let me offer another goal for your hike. Okay, and this is based on a quotation from Early Writings, page 58. One sentence that says, "Live and act holy," in reference to the coming of the Son of Man. You say it again. Live and act holy in reference to the coming of the Son of Man. So what does a Sabbath afternoon hike have to do with Jesus coming? Okay, that's part of it. What does a Sabbath afternoon hike have to do with the second coming? Of course Becky knows. Oh. That doesn't work. Where are we just before the second coming? Or where are we at the time of the second coming? Out in the wilderness. Are we ready to live out in the wilderness? Okay. So, going on a Sabbath afternoon hike where we're out in nature is excellent time to practice getting ready for this time. Yeah. Yes. Early Writings, page 58. Live and act holy in reference to the coming of the Son of Man. Now that quote's not just talking about Sabbath afternoon hikes. That's talking about everything in life. And we need to start being that way if we're going to be ready.
You can learn a lot of this stuff in your backyard even. You can practice cooking over a campfire in the backyard and practicing little arrows.
Okay, with that all in mind, I want to let you know I actually have 3 packs. Okay, I have my main grab-and-go pack. That stays in my truck all the time. It's there now. Okay, what I'm going to be pulling out of mostly here is my demonstration pack. This has a representative of equipment to show you. Anyway, some just items, that are more geared towards demonstrating to a group like you all. The other pack that I have is my Sabbath afternoon pack. Okay? I'm not willing to carry my whole grab-and-go pack on a simple Sabbath afternoon hike, right? But I have a scaled-down version that has all of the stuff that I would want to have on a Sabbath afternoon hike. Now, there's one exception between what I'm holding up here and what I would actually want to take. And depending on the goals of the hike and where we're going on the hike and stuff, I will add that to this, and I'll talk about that later. I had a hand up there.
That Sabbath afternoon pack is something I think about a lot. You can go on a 5-mile hike and somebody's going to break an ankle and you can't carry it back. You may be out there.
You want a few things.
You may be out there at night. So you need to prepare for it.
Yeah.
Magnesium, fire starters, water, other stuff.
Right. No, well, that's kind of where I'm heading. Okay, but I'm going to give you a definite list. of stuff that I would want on a Sabbath afternoon hike and that I for sure want to have with me when we flee here. Okay? Because I'm doing the Sabbath afternoon hike in reference to the coming of the Son of Man. But before we go on and looking at other stuff, let's just note, what could we do with this much? What could we do with this? Besides take a drink of water. We could start a fire. What else? Could boil water, purify it to make more. So like if we're stuck out overnight, we're not going to get dehydrated because we can make more pure water. Okay, what else? Okay, we could make a shelter. I've got a saw here I could cut some poles with if necessary. What else? Yeah, if you got some wild edible plants, I got the wherewithal to cook them here. Okay, we can have something to eat for supper and breakfast. Let me see here. Pardon? You could clean a wound. Yeah. Okay, so you have a lot of possibilities with just simple like this. Okay, but again, I would want more. Which brings us to the second question. What are you willing to carry on a simple Sabbath afternoon hike when you're not planning to spend the night so that you would have it with you if you did have to spend the night? Do I need to say that again? What are you willing to carry when you're not planning to spend the night so that you would have it with you if you did have to spend the night? I've led a lot of hikes in my experience. I have taken people out on a hot summer afternoon and they didn't even bring a water bottle. The next thing I know, they're coming, asking me for water. And I'm like, you knew it was hot. What happens when it gets hot? You get thirsty. What? Yeah, you get dehydrated. That can get serious. Okay? Was it last summer or summer before last? Family went out in the Mariposa area and they didn't through it because they got dehydrated. They didn't take enough water. Yeah, they actually took water, but they didn't have enough for where they were going, what they were trying to do. So I mean, that's serious stuff. Okay? At least bring a water bottle. But this is easy to throw in your pocket too. Yes?
I think also something warm in case we have to stay overnight. I had that once. We were hiking in the mountains in France, and we missed lost our way.
Yeah.
And so we had to stay the whole night in the
Yeah.
mountains. It was freezing.
Now I know 4 people that's happened to.
Something warm. And we just buried ourselves in leaves and so on just to stay warm.
Good. Okay, top of that list. Okay, now this is the one out of my demonstration pack. I would actually want something a little heavier than this, but this is a wool blend blanket that I have across. How big is that? How heavy is that? How much trouble is it to carry this? Okay, if somebody gets hurt, I can make cut a couple poles and make a stretcher with this. I would rather carry a blanket like this than a jacket. Okay? Although a jacket's a good idea too. The reason being is I can wrap up in this and make it, like a jacket, but if I have to spend the night, I got something to cover me from head to toe. Come here, let's stretch it out and see. It's this size right here. You want measurements? I don't have them. This is a wool blend. Okay, I carried this one in my demonstration pack because I'm frequently doing demonstrations during summertime. There is a thing called a match coat. Because of time, I'm not going to take the time to show you how to do this. I would really like to do that. It's basically where you turn this into a jacket. Okay, you need a clip for underneath your neck, and you need to sash it around your waist. And this is a very ancient design. Think of Elijah with his mantle. I'm almost sure he was doing this same thing. Okay. Yes. Yes. Also, there are Pendleton outlet stores around where you can get seconds at a really good price. So anyway, blanket. Okay, again, this is in my demonstration pack. The one I would actually want to carry would be a little bit bigger than this. I mean, thicker. Okay, a little thicker. Which is going to make it a little more bulky, but I'm willing to carry that because that's like at the top of my list of what else I want to bring besides what we got on the table so far. There is a guy I discovered recently on YouTube. It's called Paleo Tracks. I think that's Donnie Dust's Paleo Tracks or something like that is the YouTube channel. And he has what he calls the 4 B's of the backcountry. And they are a blanket, a blade, a bottle, burn. If that helps you, that's why I shared it. Okay? So like in addition to the water bottle, knife, blade, and burn, I would definitely want a blanket. Because what's going to happen as the day wears on? It's going to get cooler. What happens if you need to pack somebody out? You need a stretcher. And we can make a good one with that. Learn how to do that in the books. Yeah. What? Yeah, where are you heading there? Okay, the next thing I would add to my list is a tarp. How heavy is this? This is less than a pound. Are you willing to carry that when you're not planning to spend the night so you'd have it if you did? Okay. If it starts raining, I can take this and wrap it around me and at least have some kind of rain gear. This is from Harbor Freight, hardly costs anything. Less than a pound. Anyway, Lorraine's been after me to show you how to make a shelter. I don't think I'm going to do that right now. Anyway, if we do have to spend the night, this is going to go a long ways towards making something a little more livable. Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. This one's a 6x8. Okay, personally, I would probably carry an 8x10 just because I'm taller and I need the more coverage. But the average person can get by with a 6x8. Imagine if everybody in your hiking group brought a tarp. Okay, you could make a decent shelter.
Again, there's a lot of information on YouTube, video. You can Google Tarp Shelters and you'll probably get 100 of them.
Well, there's one poster that I've seen 60 different tarp shelters. You know, each situation's a little bit different. The tarp is immensely versatile. Just spend some time, the more ideas you have in your head, the better. Now, if you're going to use a tarp, what are you going to need to tie it up with? Some kind of cordage. Okay, this is simple, just jute twine. You can get a whole ball of this for $2 or, more or less. I like this twine really well. I mean, a lot of people carry parachute cord. I think that's a good idea too. But as far as tying shelters up, I like this better because we've gone hiking to places where people has, set up a shelter and here's all these little bits of parachute cord. You know how long it takes to biodegrade parachute cord? I mean, it's like a long time. Okay, this would be gone within a year. The other thing, if you take this short, sections of it and shred it up, it makes excellent tinder. I mean, it's cheating. It's so good. It's got a little bit of oil in it to preserve it, and that just great tinder bundles. Poncho might be another option. If nothing else, bring a drum liner. large plastic trash bag. Okay, I got that in this little pouch here. I'm going to put it back in there. Next thing on the list is some kind of scarf. I just have a bandana here. Okay, we started carrying bandanas way early on. They were so useful. We started carrying 2. And then we got into cravats and larger stuff, and since the Gulf War, we've been carrying schmogs, or coalition scarves they call them. These are really nice. This is your towel, your washcloth. Because of the loose weave, I can use it for mosquito netting. It's an extra layer of bedding at night. If you're gathering stuff and you need a bag, I'll demonstrate that with the bandana here. Tie the adjacent corners together. I'm not going to actually tie it, I'll just hold them together. But you'll get the picture. And here I have a bag with handles. Right? Yeah, we've even used them for diapers. They're just immensely useful. Bandana? Oh, this one. They're called coalition scarves or schmogs. Keffiyeh is another name for them. These have been used since like Abrahamic times, at least. So, it's SHMAGH, something like that. Some probably Arabic or some other language from over there. Okay. I would also want my flint and steel fire starting kit, where'd it go? I'll pull the one out of here. Here's my flint and steel kit. And some food. Oh, guess what I got? Somebody get me a paper plate? In here I have a more substantial cook pot than the little thing here, okay? And this is actually the size of something I would want. Got this for Christmas and I haven't used it yet. That's why it's all shiny. My other pots are all black from being used. But anyway, inside this I just keep some food. The kind of food you want is stuff that's going to, keep, not spoil, that's not going to get crushed up in your pack. You want something that you can just eat, and also something that you can cook for a warm meal, like dried soup mix. That's usually what I've used there. What I have here that I want to share with you is some hardtack. This is a real fun project. The kids in my church, we've made it with them. They love it. This is simple. You saw the flatbread I made yesterday? Awesome, thank you. This is basically the same recipe, except I cook it in the oven. This particular one here, I have added salt to it to give it a little more flavor, as well as some oatmeal and maybe some cornmeal. I like a cornmeal, oatmeal, whole wheat flour mix. And you basically just mix your flour and water, make a dough, roll it out, and cut it into shape, and then you got hardtack biscuits. Now, the Civil War reenactor people and other type reenactors, they're into hardtack also, but they make these things that are like bricks. Okay, you need a hammer to smash those things. These I can eat with just my teeth, so I roll them a lot thinner and just cut them round, with a cookie or biscuit cutter or whatever. I'm going to break this up. What? Till it's done. I'm going for a golden brown, okay? And heat for the oven, it's somewhere between 350 and 400-ish. It's not real critical, okay? You can cook these on a campfire. You can cook these, in an oven. Suppose there's other ways you could cook them too, but you're going for like a golden brown. The main thing is you want to get it bone dry. Okay, if it is bone dry, it will keep a long time. They say if you make them from white flour, it will keep 100 years. If you make it from whole wheat flour, it'll keep 50 years. Well, that's long enough for me, and I'd rather have whole wheat, because that's way more nutritious. Anybody, if you kids want to come and pass this out to everybody for me? Oh, Christopher's going to go for it. No, this is fine. I don't know if there's enough for everybody, so if you had enough yesterday, don't worry about it. It's real similar to what we had yesterday. By the way, this is at least 3 years old. Okay? This is at least 3 years old. Pemmican. Pemmican is something else. I don't like the fat content in pemmican, so I've never really messed with it. Yeah, you'll find a whole bunch of recipes on it, but it's so simple. I mean, you saw that yesterday with what we did. Same idea, kind of. Oh, yeah. I don't know about always. When my daughter was young, we're driving home, and it's like, Dad, I'm hungry. Do you got anything to eat? And I'm like, well, there's some hardtack in my pack. Guess what we had to do that week? Make another batch of hardtack, right? Well, sometimes you don't get around to doing that, and so I like to carry it because it's such a versatile, keeps, I don't have to worry about it spoiling. Keep it in a Ziploc. I don't have to worry about it getting wet or, anything like that. So, yeah. Okay. Let's do something here. Oh, no, there's one other thing I want to show you. I'm almost always carrying one of these. Okay, yeah, just a wool hat. And to the fiber arts people, I made this, yeah. The reason you will lose over 70% of your body heat from your neck up, this is going to go a long ways towards keeping you warm. Okay, and with this and the scarf, I can have from my neck up warm. And that's really going to help. Also, if I need a bag, I've got a bag, although I've rarely used it for that. I use the scarf instead. So something here. Okay. All right. Let's do this. Wish I had lots more time to show you lots more. There is a lot in the book, yes. And for what it's worth, I shouldn't tell you this, but I think I mentioned this already. This past week, I've been editing a video that we shot that gets into a lot of this stuff also. I hope to have that posted within the next week. It's not quite done editing. I've run into a couple problems that doesn't want to render one section, so I might have to redo that section. I don't know. But anyway, I'm hoping I'll have time this next week to be able to finish that and get that online. I will post it on our, yeah, let me do this here. I think most of you figure out this is our website, w. That's our website. Since we've been talking about equipment, you can go here and then go to the resources menu, click on that. The top section of that is country living resources, and then the bottom section is wilderness survival resources. There is an equipment list there with links to recommended equipment items for all of this and more. Don't necessarily, I put the links up there so that you could see the exact item I'm talking about. I don't get any kickback on any of that, and you can probably find it somewhere else cheaper. But my burden was to, like, this is the item I'm talking, like the Balco Laplander, okay, that's one of the things on there. You know, I want you to know exactly what I'm talking about for the saw here. Don't have to necessarily get it from the people that I got the link for, but you know what you're looking for. You can go online, maybe find it cheaper somewhere else, get it from the person who sells it to you cheaper. Okay, but at least you know what equipment item. Okay, so that's the way that list is organized. A bunch of other resources on there too. We have 2 YouTube channels. One is an old channel I did just under my name, and it has some more wilderness survival stuff that I did, 12 years ago-ish. No, maybe more like 14 years ago. And then the other channel that we're doing stuff with more recently is called Preparing to Stand Ministries. And that one only has one survival video, but it has several steady videos on it. The one I'm working on right now is going to go onto that website, that YouTube channel. It may get posted elsewhere, but that's the first place I'm going to try to put it. And then get my webmaster to link it to the website here. But you can go to the website and then go to the steady videos, and that'll get you to the channel. Okay. Pardon?
Have you emptied your Sabbath walk bag yet? You showed us everything and you
Oh. You want to know what's in here? In here, instead of a tarp, I have a poncho. Okay, one of the military style ponchos. I have a wool scarf. I have another wool hat. I have some another water bottle. Bag of food. I don't think I have a knife and a saw. Wooden spoon. There's some stuff in here I'm going to talk about a little later. I want to do something else here next. This is not the order I would choose to do things in, but we're going to start wrapping up. Anybody know what that is? Yeah, it's sort of an acronym. We sang about it this morning. Let's sing it. Wise people foresee trouble coming and avoid it. Wise people foresee trouble coming and avoid it. But foolish people keep going and suffer. But foolish people keep going and suffer. Proverbs 22 verse 3. Proverbs 22 verse 3. The reason I chose this particular wording, this particular letters, is because what I'm going to do here next. W stands for water bottle. P stands for cook pot. F stands for fire starter. T stands for tarp. C stands for cordage. A stands for adequate clothing. Just a word on adequate clothing. Statistically, whether or not you are wearing adequate clothing is the single most important determining factor whether or not you will survive in a survival situation. And understand that adequate clothing, say in the summertime down in Arizona, is going to be very different than wintertime up here. And so that's going to vary. But it's very important and it's frequently overlooked. Understand that knife represents all of these sharp edge culling tools we're talking about. Okay? Again, the main things is a knife. If you have people that you're hiking with regularly, somebody could carry like the bush knife or machete, somebody else could carry the axe, somebody else could carry the saw. Because I'm frequently taking groups out where nobody brings anything, I'm almost always carrying at least a saw and something to chop with. Here's all this stuff we want to take. Imagine going down the trail like this, right? That doesn't work. So what do you want? Pack. Another overlooked item. And the last one is probably the least essential, but we talked about it being just so versatile, it's earned itself a place on the list as the scarf. Which gives us also the second verse for the song, which blew me away because I think God put this together. Because I know I didn't. It just happened because after I figured out the song for Proverbs, I thought, I wonder if that works for this. And sure enough, it does. Water bottle, cook pot, fire starter, tarp and cordage. Water bottle, cook pot, fire starter, tarp and cordage. Adequate clothing, bedding, food, pack, knife and scarf. Adequate clothing, bedding, food, pack, knife and scarf. Always keep them in your pack. Be sure to keep them in your pack. Because wise people foresee trouble coming and avoid it. Wise people foresee trouble coming and avoid it. But foolish people keep going and suffer. But foolish people keep going and suffer. Proverbs 22 verse 3. Proverbs 22 verse 3. There is a graphics that I have for this that includes the music that I left with Dave on the computer up here. Yeah, it's also in the book. Okay, in addition to this, there's 6 other things I want to mention, okay? They're not essential items in that sense. One of them's like a first aid kit, and I think that's the easiest way to illustrate what I'm wanting to say here next. You take a first aid kit, right? But hopefully you don't have to ever use the first aid kit. Okay, these things you're going to use. Okay, I go on a hike. If I'm out on a hike more than just get to some destination and back. If I'm actually playing in the woods, well, I'm going to be, we encounter different things, we're going to interact with them. Probably towards the latter part of the hike, we'll actually build a fire, practice cooking some food, and hike out quickly before it gets dark, or hike out at dark with our headlamps or something like that. But anyway, trying to get as much practice in on that hike as possible. I'm using almost all of this stuff regularly. Okay, and what I didn't do with this, that I wish we'd had more time to do it, is just kind of run through a scenario of being out in the woods. You know, I mean, we would have gone with the idea of, okay, we had to spend the night. You know, what would we want to have? And it's all these same things here, right? Or we could just go through, okay, we're spending 24 hours in the woods. What are we going to want to have? Well, we're going to want to have a water bottle, right? We're going to want to have a cook pot. We're going to want to have some food to cook. We're going to have some kind of bedding to wrap up in when it gets dark. We want a fire starter. We want a tarp to make the shelter. Scarves going to come in handy for a whole bunch of stuff. Going to, you know, put on some extra clothing when it gets cold. Going to need the tools to do all the stuff we want to do. So I mean, this stuff you're going to use. Okay, these other 6 things that I'm going to put over here, probably here, are things like the first aid kit, which you hope you don't have to use, but you bring it anyway. Okay? That type of item. Some of them aren't that extreme as the first aid kit, but anyway. And I haven't figured out how to put this into the song. Maybe it doesn't work. Doesn't matter. And let's leave this for the essentials. So first aid. First aid kit. I carry a Bible portion. Okay, I'm frequently leading the hike. We'll have sundown, you know, Sabbath afternoon hike. We'll have worship, and so I carry just like a little pocket Bible or something like that. And so, yeah, that does get used, but that's it's different from physical survival. Headlamp. Carry a headlamp or a flashlight. If we end up hiking out in the dark, we would use that. When we flee, although, I mean, if you happen to be in my group, I'm going to say this right up front. If anybody has a headlamp, good, save it. Okay, the only thing we would use a headlamp or flashlight for would be a medical emergency type situation after dark. Because if you just start using that headlamp after dark like we were used to having lights after dark, batteries are going to burn out, and you might as well toss it. Okay? So just, keep that perspective. Headlamp, something that you're just going to use for emergencies when we actually flee. Whistle. Whistle is like keep the group together, type tool. Develop some whistle signals. I'll show you what we use. You can adopt those if you want. One whistle means here I am, where are you? 2 whistles means let's get together. Either I'll come to you, you come to me, depending on the situation. It's usually pretty obvious. 3 whistles is to recognize a distress signal. I need help. So if you're teaching the kids to whistle or you're learning how to whistle, don't end up with 3. Do 1 more or something like that. If the goal is to get the group from point A to point B, the easiest way to do that's in single file. But if your goal is to find resources, it's better to spread out. And if you spread out, more eyes in more places see more things, find more things. And so it's easy for the person over here to kind of, wander this way and wander this way. Next thing you know, you've lost track of each other. And so we use the whistle, here I am, where are you, whistle signal to stay in touch. It's just a soft whistle that we have for that purpose. If something happens, then I'm, where I can't hear them answer or in distress, I'm gonna pull out the acorn cap whistle I have and really blast the countryside. But anyway, I have an acorn cap whistle. You asked for it. Oh, maybe it's not here. It was. No, don't have it. Sorry. Anyway, it's really loud and shrill. You need to learn how to whistle on an acorn cap or a bottle cap or anything like that. Okay, 2 more things. Compass. Oh, 3 more things. 2. A compass. Learn how to use the compass. Compass doesn't tell you where to go. It simply tells you which way's which. You have to know which way you want to go. Okay? Again, learn how to do it. Don't get all fancy with that. Just the basics for compass is probably good enough for most of us. Maps even more important than compass, I think, but that's a whole nother topic. Compass and some toilet paper. Okay, so these are additional items that you might want, in addition to like the essentials. If you're packing a dog, yeah. Yeah. Okay, kept you over 45 minutes. Sorry. Hope it was worth it. Any questions? Yes. Thank you. I meant to share this earlier. Let me introduce you to Digging Stick. Digging Stick. This is your primitive multi-tool. Okay? It's called a digging stick because historically it was used to dig up wild edible roots, but it works for all sorts of other digging tasks, from leveling out a shelter spot to digging a hole to go to the bathroom and so on. By the way, if you use this to dig the hole to go to the bathroom, fine. Do not use this to cover it up. Okay, you're using this for a whole bunch of other things. You don't want to risk contaminating it. I took a group of teenagers out once, and next thing I knew, they were like, "Here's the poo-poo stick." Somebody had tried to cover it up and contaminate it, so we had to just, throw it in the fire and make another one. So, use this to dig the hole. Don't cover it up. This is also useful, very useful as a mallet. I use this to put my cook pot in and out of the fire. Oh, anyway, if you need to see that, just, hang. If you're cooking over a fire, a pot with a bail is much easier to use than a kettle handle thing, which is one reason I don't like these pots. So this is just useful for so many different things, and this does almost all the digging tasks that I need. But it's just, for so many other things besides a little scoop shovel. Yeah, back in the day, I used to carry those, but this is what I have now. Any other questions? Oh, yeah. Learn to make as much of your own equipment as possible. Okay? Because when you can't buy or sell, you won't be able to buy it anymore. Yes?
When you go out on these hikes, is there a superfood that you take that you can cook, or do you?
Okay, typically what I'll carry for food, I like the hardtack just because of the versatility there and the long-term, it's going to keep. I'll also typically take some cornmeal. I can add that to stew to thicken it up, right? Or I can just, make like cornmeal mush and have something there. I'll take dried fruit, because that's something I can just eat straight. I can cook with it if I want to, but I don't have to. And nuts. Those are the things I typically take. And salt, and a little thing of salt. Salt's going to go a long ways towards making wild edibles taste better. The hardtack? You missed it when we passed it around? Yeah. Nuts. I like nuts, so I am nuts, whatever.
You can also get dehydrated beans. You can dehydrate your own. You pick up a pot of beans and then you mash them up like you're going to refry them. Put them on dehydrator, dehydrate them, and then
Yeah.
reheat
Yeah.
them and rehydrate them. Put whatever spices or whatever you want in them that way.
Dehy-
Cheaper than buying the ones already made.
Dehydrated soup mixes work really good. I like that really well. Any other questions? Okay, let's have prayer and we'll close. Okay, question. Sorry. Yes. Stick around. I'll show you. Okay. Actually, I do have a couple closing remarks here. One of them especially. If I forget the other one, doesn't matter. 2 Timothy 2, verse 2. Okay, it's all twos. 2 Timothy 2, verse 2. It says, the things that I have shared with you in the presence of many witnesses, these things commit to others who will be able to share it also. I'm only one person. I'm getting older and tireder. I can't get around like I used to or like I would like to. And so please share this information. I mean, all of it. I'm talking about the Bible studies and this stuff and the country living stuff, all of that. Please share that however God opens the opportunity, okay, for you to share. The other verse that goes with that is in Luke. It says, give and it will be given unto you. You want to gain more of this knowledge? Start giving what you have and God will aim more your way. Real interesting quote I have, and it's talking about how much of the Holy Spirit we can have. And it says that we're given the amount of Holy Spirit proportionate to how much we're able to share it, or how much we're willing to share it. So I mean, God's all about pass it on. Okay, let's pray. Father, thank you for this time we've been able to spend together these last 3-4 days. It's been thoroughly enjoyable from our perspective, and I hope everybody else has enjoyed it too and been blessed by it. May we take these things seriously and be doers of the word, not just hearers only, so that we can be standing there ready, gone through all of those changes and not turn back when you come. Thank you that we still have time to prepare. May we make good use of that time and not bury our talents, because time is a talent. I pray this all in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay.
We have an appointment, but thank you very much